Have you ever felt that this world isn't all there is? That there is something hidden, a truth so deep, so powerful, that history itself has tried to bury? In today's video, you will discover one of the most forbidden and hidden texts for over 1600 years, the secret book of John, a relic of the Gnostics, the so-called heretics, just for seeing what many did not dare to see. That this world is a subtle trap, and the Creator God we have been taught may not be who we think. If you are ready to awaken your intuition, open your spiritual awareness, and face the hidden truth, so come with us on this journey. Welcome to Bible Study 24EH, where faith is not limited to what is taught, but to what is felt deeply by the soul. Don't forget to click like, subscribe, and share this video if you believe the world deserves to know this truth. This narrative, hidden for centuries, was condemned as dangerous for questioning the foundation of traditional religious beliefs. According to this text, the reality in which we are immersed is not the supreme creation of a benevolent God, but rather the product of a chaotic and defective force. Before everything existed, according to the Gnostics, there was only the One, an unlimited, pure, and immeasurable cosmic energy. It was not a God in the traditional sense, but a presence beyond human understanding, like a vast ocean of light that contained everything and nothing at the same time. This perfect origin, however, was interrupted by a mistake made by the universal wisdom, Sophia. Sophia, according to the narrative, acted out of balance, trying to create something on her own. This act gave rise to Yaldabaoth, an imperfect being who began to rule the material world. He constructed a reality to imprison souls, preventing them from realizing their true connection to the original divine light. Thus, our world has become a kind of spiritual trap, a place where most remain unaware of their infinite potential. The Gnostics saw this conflict as part of a cosmic duality. Unlike the main religions, which interpret the battle between good and evil as a definitive war, the Gnostics believed that even darkness had its origin in the One. For them, the universe was composed of light and shadows, knowledge and ignorance, spirituality and materialism, coexisting as reflections of the same source. In this context, Yaldabaoth was not just an external enemy, but the symbol of the illusions that keep us trapped. He would make us forget who we really are, using fear and attachment to the material world as tools. However, according to the Gnostics, each human being carries a spark of that original light within them, a divine spark that, if recognized, can break the chains of ignorance. This narrative is an invitation to introspection. It proposes that there is more to life than we perceive with our senses. That feeling that there is something greater, that we belong to a higher reality, resonates like an echo of the hidden truths that the secret book of John tries to reveal. It's a reminder that perhaps the reality we live in is just a superficial layer, hiding a universe of infinite possibilities. The Gnostics emphasize that the key to escaping this illusion lies in gnosis, that is, deep spiritual knowledge. For them, this state of consciousness is what frees us from the prison of materialism and connects us to the true divine essence. This awakening is not something that can be imposed or taught directly, but rather a personal discovery, which occurs when someone allows themselves to look beyond the surface and explore the depths of their soul. In this sense, the story presented in the secret book of John is more than a spiritual allegory. It is a call to question the nature of reality, break with imposed limitations, and discover who we really are. According to the Gnostics, until we awaken to this truth, we will continue to be trapped in a cycle of deception, trapped in a reality that does not reflect the entirety of our being. For them, the duality we face, light and darkness, knowledge and ignorance, is a reflection of the imbalance created by Sophia, but also an opportunity for transcendence. Recognizing our connection to the One is the key to overcoming this divide and achieving spiritual wholeness. The struggle is not only external, but also internal, requiring courage to challenge what we have been taught and seek the truth that resides within us. This perspective is both challenging and inspiring. She reminds us that reality is not necessarily what we see, but what we choose to perceive and understand. Each of us carries a spark of that original light, hidden beneath the illusions that surround us. This divine spark, according to what the secret book of John reveals, could be the key to breaking the chains of materialism and rediscovering our true essence. And there is knowledge that expands this perspective, the ebook, The Forbidden Name of Jesus. It brings forgotten truths to light, offering a path for those seeking to more deeply understand the connection between the spiritual and the divine. You can find it in the first pinned comment as a gift to expand your spiritual journey. Seeing the world as it really is, rather than just as it appears, is the essence of the narrative of the secret book of John. In it, Yaldabaoth, the creator of the material world, is presented as a master of illusions, a manipulator who uses distractions and trickery to hide the true essence of existence. He acts as a craftsman of deception, creating a reality where souls remain blind to the fact that they have a divine spark within them. Imagine this condition as being permanently limited by blinders that direct focus only to the superficiality of everyday life, while the greater truth remains out of reach. According to Gnostics, it is through gnosis, deep spiritual knowledge, that a person can finally remove these blinders and see beyond the veil of illusions. From this, it is discovered that the rules, limits, and apparent structure of this world are actually part of a mechanism designed to trap souls in ignorance. For the Gnostics, awakening to this higher reality was like emerging from a deep sleep and realizing that existence goes beyond the material. They believe that everyone is part of a divine whole, a spark of that primordial light that existed before the creation of the shadow world. This understanding not only challenged traditional beliefs, but also posed a direct threat to the power of the religions that dominated the spiritual narrative. Mainstream Christianity, for example, was seen by Gnostics as excessively focused on the veneration of an external god. This approach, they said, ignored the divine potential within each individual. The Gnostic insistence that the true spiritual quest should be internal rather than external led to their labeling as heretics. They rejected the idea that answers should be sought in temples or under the authority of religious leaders. On the contrary, they taught that these answers were within every human being, waiting to be discovered. This search, however, was not simple. To reach the truth, it was necessary to peel back the layers of reality one by one until reaching the core where the divine essence resides. This process of spiritual discovery required effort and courage, as it directly confronted the illusions imposed by Yaldabaoth, who established himself as ruler of this world based on ignorance and arrogance. The Gnostic narrative describes Yaldabaoth as a tyrannical ruler, desperate for control, who presents himself as the ultimate source of authority. Its origin, however, is the result of a cosmic error, created out of balance by Sophia, a universal force of wisdom. He emerges as a rebellious figure who challenges the original cosmic order. His arrogance leads him to deceive humanity into believing he is the true God, while hiding his own flaws and imperfect origins. This image of Yaldabaoth as a despot who forcibly assumes the throne serves as a powerful metaphor for systems of power in human history. For the Gnostics, this narrative was not just a mythological story, but a representation of how people, both past and present, accept structures of authority without questioning them. Mainstream religion, particularly the early Christian church, was seen as a tool for keeping people spiritually imprisoned, emphasizing obedience and acceptance over self-knowledge and exploration. Sophia's story, however, offers a vision of resistance. Although his actions led to the emergence of Yaldabaoth, they also sowed the seeds of dissent. His act of creating without permission, although considered a mistake, symbolizes a challenge to established authority. For the Gnostics, this gesture reflected the human power to question imposed reality and seek a deeper truth. This conflict between control and defiance, between blind obedience and the desire for liberation, is not restricted to ancient texts. It echoes throughout history in episodes where people rose up against oppressive systems and deceptive beliefs. Just as Sophia went against cosmic rules, human resistance movements emerged at different times to challenge authority and demand freedom. The key to awakening your divine spark is within your reach. Units of the e-book, The Forbidden Name of Jesus, are limited and may run out at any time. Secure yours now. The central message of the Gnostics is clear. Spiritual liberation begins with the rejection of imposed illusions. It requires people to look within themselves, recognize their connection to the divine, and refuse to passively accept the structures that keep them chained. Throughout history, conflicts between authority and resistance have marked human narratives. From ancient revolts against tyrannical monarchs to contemporary movements for equality and social justice, this tension has shaped humanity. The Gnostics, with their profound and often controversial vision, warned that challenging established systems of power was not a simple task. They knew that anyone who dares to question the rules could face isolation, repression, and even punishment. Even so, they considered this risk necessary for anyone seeking true liberation. Breaking with prevailing beliefs was not just an act of courage. It was, according to the Gnostics, the only way to see the truths hidden behind the layers of social and spiritual conventions. Passively accepting the imposed rules was the same as imprisoning oneself in a limited existence. For them, the path to freedom was through rejecting these structures and norms that often do not have the best interests of the individual in mind, but rather the interests of those who exercise control. This rejection was more than a simple challenge. It was a declaration of spiritual autonomy. Gnostic rebellion was a search for the divine, a refusal to accept a lower reality when it was known that a higher truth was possible. In this act of subversion, each person could chart their own path back to their divine origin, transcending the limitations imposed by the material world. At the center of Gnostic thought is the concept of or monad, which represents the source of everything. This supreme principle is not a divine figure in the traditional sense, but rather a primordial, infinite, and formless energy from which everything radiates. It's like the sun, whose light sustains and connects everything around it. Is not limited by human or physical characteristics. It is the universal consciousness and the basis of all existence, including the shadows that try to obscure its light. Within this narrative, Sophia plays a crucial role. It represents the divine mind's desire to explore and create, even if it means straying from perfect balance. His act of creating without permission is not only a mistake, but a metaphor for human curiosity and desire to go beyond. However, this departure from unity had consequences, resulting in the emergence of Yaldabaoth, a symbol of the separation between knowledge and understanding. He is the result of Sophia's disconnection from the divine source and personifies ignorance and deception. Yaldabaoth, far from being just a mythological villain, is a deeper representation of everything that keeps us away from our true nature. He symbolizes the ignorance that obscures the light like a fog that hides the sun. The material world he rules is described as full of distractions and illusions, designed to make us forget our connection with the divine. These distractions are the forces that convince us that the physical world is all there is, keeping us from recognizing our spiritual essence. However, Gnostics believe that even in the midst of darkness, light never completely disappears. For them, light was more than a physical manifestation. It was the symbol of knowledge and enlightenment. This light represents the pure awareness and clarity that arise when illusion is dispelled. In Gnostic texts, beings made of light and illuminated realms are metaphors for heightened states of consciousness, where the true nature of being is revealed. Discover what has been hidden for centuries and connect to your true essence. The ebook, The Forbidden Name of Jesus, is available for a limited time. Don't miss this opportunity. Gnostic stories and symbols, such as the One, Sophia, and Aldebaoth, and the Light, were carefully crafted to convey profound spiritual truths. The Gnostics knew that these ideas were subversive and could be misinterpreted or rejected by the masses. Therefore, they used metaphors and narratives that required effort and reflection to be understood. Only those who truly sought hidden knowledge would be able to decipher its meanings. Light, in particular, was central to his philosophy. More than a physical phenomenon, it symbolized spiritual awakening, the ability to see beyond appearances and access the truth that resides at the core of each being. When the Gnostics spoke of realms of light or enlightened beings, they were referring to a state of consciousness where the illusions of the material world disappear, revealing the intrinsic connection with the divine. This journey of self-discovery and enlightenment required courage, as it was necessary to face the forces that kept souls trapped in illusions. For Gnostics, these forces were not only external, but also internal, represented by our fears, doubts, and attachments to the physical world. Overcoming these barriers was the ultimate goal, allowing the soul to rediscover its origin in the light of the One and transcend the limited reality of Yaldabaoth. For the Gnostics, light was both the path and the destination, a reminder that even in the shadows, the divine essence never stops shining. It is the most powerful symbol of awakening, of discovering the truth about our essence and the universe around us. On the other hand, the material world, with its daily routine and constant distractions, was seen as a carefully crafted prison. This prison is not limited to physical barriers, but also extends to the invisible shackles of the mind, to the limitations imposed by conformity and attachment to what is tangible. Everyday life, with its incessant repetitions and desires, often traps people in a cycle of superficiality. These cycles blind humans to the deeper dimensions of existence. For the Gnostics, the key to breaking these chains lay in gnosis, the secret knowledge that revealed the true nature of reality. This knowledge was capable of unveiling the divine spark that resides in each of us, a reminder of our connection with the pure and luminous origin of everything. Within this context, all Gnostic symbols come together to tell a story that transcends time and space. This story is not just about ancient gods or cosmic conflicts, but reflects the inner journey of the human mind. It is an allegory about the individual's awakening to a broader understanding of himself and the universe. Like a traveler awakening from a deep dream, the Gnostic message invites us to realize that what we see and touch is not all that exists. This awakening leads us to an essential truth. Behind the facade of everyday life, there is a deeper and more meaningful reality. It is a reality connected to the divine source that Sophia, in her narrative, longed to rediscover. Understanding Gnostic symbolism is like deciphering a hidden code, a map that guides those willing to defy appearances and break with the illusions of the physical world. When we begin to see beyond what we have been taught, the hidden meanings of these stories emerge like a ray of light in a dark room. Suddenly, what previously seemed familiar takes on new contours. The world, which seemed limited to what we can touch, see, or hear, transforms into something much more vast. This transformation occurs because life, according to Gnostics, is not limited to the tangible. It is a constant search for what is hidden, for what transcends appearances. Once you see the light, there is no going back to the darkness. What the secret book of John reveals is not just an old story. It's a call to sleeping souls, a map back to the source of light, where you truly came from. If you want to continue exploring forgotten secrets, download the ebook, The Forbidden Name of Jesus now, a gift for those who dare to go deeper. The link is in the first pinned comment. And if something inside you started to awaken after this video, don't ignore it. And the call of your soul. Subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and follow the Bible Study 24H, because the journey of awakening is just beginning.